Basically, it was a part of citizenship. If you're an able-bodied male between 60 and 60, you're in the militia. That's all there is to it. During peacetime, both the United States and Canada, the militia had a rather low reputation. That was because they didn't train very often, at most maybe 2 or 3 times a year. And their training days were typically when they would gather in a central location, usually on a holiday, and they would, do a little bit of foot drill, show they could operate the musket, and then they would partake. So a lot of times the reward for coming to a militia muster was free beer for the remainder of the day. In the States, it was often whiskey. Now that doesn't make the best soldier, but when war breaks out, militia can be called up for anywhere once between a full year of service. So those that were serving in the longer term, they would try to get their uniforms and equipment. So what you see them wearing is a makeshift uniform. It's actually purchased what was off when they had available. And later in the war, they began to replace a lot of the green uniforms with this traditional British red coat out on the field. And you'll see another British militia unit incorporated from Canada in those scarlets. We got a good move from the American volley. The volley is the best way to fight 200 years ago. We always get people asking, wouldn't it be smarter, kneel down, lie down? No, standing's the best way. And you think, well, wouldn't it be better to spread out? No, big group is better. And it's because of the weapons. Now, most of the men out on the field today are carrying flintlock smoothbores, which means it uses a flintlock mechanism to fire, and they're smooth on the inside. I got competing voices behind me. So the problems with that is a flintlock make any serious attempt out from their fortifications. Their one small attempt they would do would lead to the Battle of Beaver Dams, where the Canadian heroine Laura Secord would help warn the British and the American would be captured wholesale. But as the battle is drawing down and the forces are settling in, we as reenactors, we have a strong appreciation for history, and it is a tradition amongst ours that at the end of engagements we pay a lament through the playing of music and a recognition of those who walked the grounds before us. So ladies and gentlemen, during the playing of the lament, I ask that you please observe silence, and if possible, please remove your caps. To come and support them as they had at the Battle of Fort George. They saw sails on the horizon and let out a cheer until, upon closer inspection, they noted it was not the American Navy, it was the British fleet that had come. The Americans actually had run back to Sackett's Harbor because the British had launched a raid there, and it caused the American commander to be so terrified to lose his base that he withdrew off the lake entirely, surrendering the initiative on the lake. Now with the Royal Navy out on the lake, the concern was the British could pick up their forces and drop them behind them. So the Americans were forced to withdraw again, and this time in even more haste than they did from Stoney Creek, abandoning even more valuable equipment. Okay. As you see, casual and compassionate in their treatment. The most common treatment they had was unfortunately amputation. Complex breaks in the arm could be fixed, but it was extremely difficult, and when you were dealing with large numbers of wounded, well, as one surgeon put it, you often had to make complex wounds simple wounds by art of the knife. Amputation could be completed in as little as 2 minutes, and you were glad for it. There's no anesthetics. And one of the key things you wanted out of a surgeon this time period was youth. You wanted a fast hand, not a learned hand. The surgeon I quoted before was 19 years old when he was a surgeon, and he had already been in service for 2 years. On the edge there, you can see some of His Majesty's Indigenous allies. Much of the Six Nations were very concerned when the British fell back all the way to Burlington Heights, fearing that they would continue their retreat and abandon them. They were prepared, if necessary, to turn an ally with the Americans. Many of them had openly rumored. And the British were terrified of losing this ally and potentially making them an enemy by abandoning them. Luckily, with Stoney Creek and the American withdrawal, they were able to rekindle this relationship, and many of the Six Nations came out and supported the British during the withdrawals of the Americans, which was terrifying for many of the Americans. Many of the Americans had never seen an Indigenous person in real life. They were unaware of their culture, any of that. The only thing they heard was what was in the newspapers at the time, or what somebody was shouting about on the street corner, and it was not known for its accuracy.